Well, it's winter and I finally got back out to the old mill site in the Perth Hills. Just have a bit of a wander around. There is not a lot left here. It's all been demolished and ripped and reseeded quite a number of years ago. But behind me there is a little culvert, and I think that would have been under a rower line or a road that was here in the days when they were in operation. And you probably wouldn't notice it, except that it's been raining the last few days and there's a bit of a creek behind me. I've left a relative clear spot just behind me there, and entering into an area which is quite gloomy. It's either revegetation or regrowth. It's very dense through here and there's not a lot of sunlight getting through. And amongst the gloom is a large concrete block. Not sure what was on it, but the two mounting bolts have been bent over. It's been pushed up, and you can see that winter has collected a fair bit of water here. And disturbingly enough, there's some real knobheads around, and they've tried to cut this tree down. Why would you do this shit? The creek at the bottom of the valley that's formed here is Monday Creek, or Monday Brook. At one end they did a diversion many years ago to stop the water from flooding through here when people were living here and when the mill was in operation. And you can see it meandering down through those trees. The Pickering Brook Historical Society have got a map on their web page which shows this mill site. One of the guys has done a fair bit of work to draw out what was there. This is the area that we were looking at last time we were around, where the cricket pitch was, the stables and the houses, and the lone grave is up in here. I'm in this area here at the moment. I think the first crossing I found was probably that one there, and I'm guessing that this is where I just saw a few seconds ago. And you can see there was quite an extensive rail system through here, a wire that allows you to turn a loco around and make it face the other direction. I've only walked probably 30 or 40 metres away, and there's another one of those concrete blocks in the ground there. Just walked into a spider web. Bloody hell. Now these things don't flow down the creek with the rain, they're too heavy, so I think that other one has been pushed down there, this one's been pushed up. It looks like it's the base or foundations of some sort of structure. I'm sort of wondering whether this area above that little culvert there is actually the original route of the railway line. I'm pretty sure these lilies are non-native, and that would indicate that at some point in time someone probably had a garden or a house out here. Quite a few in through those trees there. There's a big patch of them. Actually they're all through the creek. Wow. This area is now bounded by private property on either side. There's an orchard that way and an orchard behind me. On the other side of that orchard you can actually see the original railway tracks, or railway tracks where they were, and you can actually still find some of them in the back of Carragullen too. I'm not really sure what these gum trees are called, but I call them camouflage trees. The bark on them is strikingly like army camouflage. I'm just in the area that I think the Forest Inn used to be. It was a fairly big hotel for its day, closed relatively recently, maybe 60 years ago, but sometime after the mills closed here. Not a lot left, just small bits of tin used for capping and piles of bricks that have been pushed up. This is the area that I think the inn was at. The road over there is quite noisy. It's a Sunday and everyone's going out for a drive. If I'm correct and the inn was over in front of me, just over that way, then behind me was where the church, school and bakery used to be. That, I think, is pretty modern rubbish. It's plastic. That's not modern, it's a fairly thick piece of glass. And there's a saucer or something. Another really thick piece of glass here too. And it's got some sort of shape to it. This is almost certainly a non-native tree. Been planted at some time, probably a long time ago. And a couple more over there. Back across that slight clearing where the church, bakery and school used to be, and that's the old school. There was another school built on the left hand side over the road, looking towards where the forest inn would have been. So this area has been ripped. It's done with a bulldozer with tines at the back to make furrows, and you can sort of see the individual lines where there's the moss growing in the ridges. So they're the rip marks where the spoilers come up, and then generally what Deepore or Calmback in those days used to do was just seed it so that something would grow. Many of you will have seen my video that was made on Wittenoom and the way they used to do the milling of the asbestos. What really is disappointing in 2022, we have some absolute idiots in this world that just don't know how to deal with asbestos, so the best way to do it is just dump it in the bush. Why it becomes a problem, because where that is dumped there, whoever has dumped it has allowed this stuff to become mixed in with the track, and as people drive across it, it gets spread further and further down the hill. A relic from the past. I'm not sure what it is. It's fairly old and it's fairly deep in the ground. I cannot budge it, so it has been here for a very long time. Who knows what it is. More specially brewed bush concrete and tin remains, so bits of metal over there, whether it's an old car or whatever, I don't know. Looks like a piece of old bed frame. Large concrete base with some pretty big bolts stuck in it. One can only imagine what that was used for. And possibly some rotating machinery, because there's a dip in the middle just there. Just walking up to something that's always intrigued me. I'm not sure what it really is. It's made out of that bush concrete we saw earlier on. Not sure whether this was the foundations of a house or whether it might have been a water tank. The other thing that's interesting around here is this brick wall, a rock wall, very beautifully made. Goes for quite a distance. A few yuccas along the way. I think the wall's probably about 50 metres long. When we get to the end, there's a bit of a surprise. I didn't notice this before, or haven't noticed this before. There's still a wooden railing and post with a wire fence attached. Surprised it didn't get ripped out when they were doing the fibre optic cable. Might struggle with this part a bit because I've lost my eye amplifiers. The forest inn that we saw the area of is that place there. The church and bakery, church, bakery and office are this area here. I think where the clear area was that mill area there. The creek is running through here. I suspect I'm in this area here at the moment, though I can't be 100% sure, and I'm going to cross there and go into this area here where there were cottages. We have previously found some stuff over here which indicates that it might be. Never really found this area here before, but let's go and have a look. Definitely an old insulator. Can't see any dates on it. Without my glass I probably wouldn't be able to anyway. That works here. This is a drain, and it goes down to the creek. And you can see over there there's a bit more of this earthworks going on, trying to drain the water into the creek. Sound of the frogs, absolutely fantastic. These are fruit trees. I think they're apples or pears. A couple of years ago when I was out here there was some fruit on it, not very good though. One day they'll probably sell this and develop it, put houses here. Whatever those trees are, there's quite a few of them through here. Another very large clearing in here. Might just go and see what's under that wattle tree there. It looks like a big stone. There's something over there next to that brush. It's actually here or not. Those big stones are granite. Most of this area is coffee rock, so I don't know whether they're natural here or been moved. Been looking for where the train station used to be. It's got 2 ramps on either side and a small platform, or what was a platform. This is the only area in this slopey country that looks relatively flat, and it's roughly in the right spot, but who knows. The original train track, which is next to the dirt track on the right, then that could have been the station I was just in. Really nice to see a creek flowing in Western Australia. Don't see that very often these days. Not used to making videos on the woodlines with traffic running past me, but just like the woodlines on the eastern and western goldfields, the track that we're on now is the old rubber line, and there's a huge amount of work that's gone into building the formation so they could lay the track on this to go through the forest. To put some perspective of how high this formation has been raised off the normal forest level, I'll walk down there and give you a bit of an idea. That's probably 1.5 meters of earthworks behind me that's been taken out of the topsoil here and stacked up there to make the train line. The interesting thing is that that track still serves a purpose, because when Telstra ran their fibre optic cable, here was a pre-made track they could go through the bush and lay their fibre optic.